Today, I am creating the strongest possible One Piece crew, but let's make it more interesting, shall we? Let us make the strongest female-only One Piece crew. Now, even though in the world of One Piece, most of the top tier and strongest characters are male, well, don't be so sure, because the crew I am creating today can give any pirate crew in history a run for their money. And yeah, for anyone that realized, this pirate crew would be Sanji's worst nightmare, since he cannot fight women. Or wait, couldn't it also be his wildest dream as well? Ah well, depends on how you see it, I suppose. Okay, so before we begin, let us lay some small ground rules. We have certain positions that need to be filled in our pirate crew. It is true that some of the characters we will use are not strictly speaking pirates, but in a way, they do fit the position in our crew. After all, we saw that many characters throughout the show switch their roles as time passes in order to become pirates. Some of them include Aokiji, X-Drake, Don Quixote Rocinante, even Stussy, who was supposed to be a world government agent. As it turns out, she's affiliated with pirates. But why did we set this rule? Well, you'll see the reason why in a little bit. And the second rule we have is that naturally, we can use each character only for one position in the crew. Obviously, when we have characters that can fit in two categories, we will be able to use that character in just one of the two positions. And with that out of the way, we will now begin with the most important part of the crew, which is none other than the captain. Now here we do have 2 confirmed candidates and another 3 that are somewhat uncertain, let's say. Oh well, you'll get what I mean in a bit. The first candidate we are considering is, of course, Boa Hancock. Now for anyone that underestimates her, let me stop you right there. This girl single-handedly defeated every member of the Blackbeard pirates on her own in an instant. All except Blackbeard, that is. And let me tell you, without his Yami no Mi devil fruit that allowed him to negate the effects of Boa's attack, Blackbeard would have sustained the same fate as the rest of his crew. Now all I will say is that you don't become a warlord for nothing. Other than her devil fruit ability, in combination with her beautiful appearance, which allows her to turn any opponent in sight into stone, as long as they find her even remotely beautiful, that is. Boa has other exceptional abilities as well. Her physical abilities are so advanced that during the movie Stampede, she went on to speed blitz everyone near her and landed an insane kick on the colossal golem of Douglas Bullet when the latter hurt Luffy. Oh, did I mention that she did all of this in high heels? Yeah, that's one way to show that you're a badass, I suppose. Not only that, but Boa has all 3 forms of haki. Even though we did not yet see her use Conqueror's haki, it was stated that she possesses this ability as well. Okay, so as you may have realized, we do have a few more candidates for the position of the captain. But at this point, I would like to give a small spoiler for the video. As any pirate crew out there, our crew will also have a cook. You probably already knew that. I mean, nutrition is by far one of the most important things, if not the most important thing for humans. But since we are not really pirates, and we don't really have a cook next to us all the time, that's exactly where CookUnity comes in. CookUnity is the first chef-to-consumer platform, delivering freshly prepared, pre-selected meals right to your door. The subscription is super flexible, and you can pause, skip weeks, or cancel at any time. Whatever your dietary preferences are, vegan, paleo, gluten-free, keto, whether you want to lose weight, want to bulk up in order to look like your favorite waifu Zoro, or just want to follow a healthy and balanced diet, CookUnity is the answer. What I personally love most about them is the incredibly wide selection of meals. I mean, literally, you are never bored of them, and the delicious options are endless. One of my favorite meals is this barbecue chicken with gooey mac and cheese from Chris Rattel. That is honestly just awesome. I mean, I'm not even sure if I've ever eaten another mac and cheese like this. And it's not just that. As you may realize, I'm a pretty busy guy, and what CookUnity offers saves me so much time that I can now finally rewatch One Piece from start to end for the 3rd time. Even more than that, what sets CookUnity apart from everyone else is that they cook their meals fresh every day in regional micro kitchens, and not in cold warehouse production facilities. Now, there is a famous saying that goes, "You are what you eat." Well, if you want to be great, you must eat great, and CookUnity ensures just that. Go to cookunity.com/Akagami50, or click the link in the description down below and use my code Akagami50 to get 50% off your first order and try out the CookUnity meals for yourself. Believe me, you will not regret it. But now, let's get back to our video. Now, the second character we are considering for the position of the captain is Crocomum. Yeah, I'm not fully joking around right here. This is something between more of a joke and being serious, because even though this theory started off as an absurd take, well, in the live action, Crocodile was indeed replaced by a woman that looks awfully close to him. So when it comes to Crocodile, despite losing to a pretty weak version of Luffy early on in the series, do not get fooled by that. During Marineford, Crocodile went full beast mode. As a former warlord of the sea, Crocodile is powerful enough to be recognized by the world government. He also had a higher bounty than Boa at 81 million berries, compared to her 80 million berries. Although, yeah, that's pretty close. In addition to his powers being of the Logia type, allowing him to turn into sand to avoid injuries, Crocodile has an enormous amount of physical stamina, durability, pain tolerance, resilience, and endurance, coupled with remarkable speed and reflexes. So far, among the 2 analyzed, I think Boa has a better overall arsenal. Both devil fruit as well as haki and physical strength give her the edge. Okay, so far we analyzed 2 warlords, but what about a Yonko next? We now have to speak about Big Mom. Now, it's well known that Big Mom possesses some of the most monstrous strength in all of One Piece. Big Mom also possesses tremendous superhuman durability due to her extremely tough skin, being compared by Sanji and Capone Bege to an iron balloon. She's able to destroy cities, sink ships, and resist cannon and gunfire without receiving a single injury. The crazy part is that it is said that no weapon can pierce her skin. She is also able to grab Prometheus, put him in her hair, and ride on him for a long period period without getting any burns, despite Prometheus being a miniature sun. Now, seeing her and the way she is built, most people would assume that she's quite slow, right? Quite the opposite, actually. Despite her enormous size, Big Mom is extremely fast in combat, as she instantly caught up with Luffy, Sanji, and Reiju. And the best part, she's not even in her prime at this form. She has all three forms of haki, and her devil fruit, the Soro no Mi, allows her to manifest people's souls as an ethereal substance that she can grab hold of. So long as the intended victim feels fear, she can then steal the soul from the victim, taking away their lifespan by an amount of her choosing. She can also consume her own soul in order to make herself bigger and stronger, as well as infuse souls into her own skeleton, allowing her to heal her own broken bones by commanding them to return to their proper structure. All in all, it's obvious that you don't become a Yonko without a reason, and Big Mom, she deserved the title in every way. And now we'll move on to two highly hypothetical candidates. The first of which is Nefertari D. Lily. Now, it is true that we know close to nothing about her and her general abilities or strength. I just thought it's only fair to mention her, since from what we're shown so far, it's not so far-fetched to assume that at the very least, she was pretty strong. And the fifth candidate we are considering for captain, we have none other than Imu. Now, once again, we know close to nothing about her. We don't even know for sure if she's a woman or not. But even though the full scope of Imu's abilities and powers is unknown, fact remains that she sits on the empty throne, a seat whose occupant should be associated with sole authority over the entire world. Plus the fact that the five elders, who are publicly considered the world government's highest authorities, bow down before Imu and address her honorifically, indicating that Imu indeed holds the highest authority within the government and is probably the strongest among them. Plus, she's also seen being able to wield Mother Flame in order to wipe out an entire island out of existence. So having covered all candidates, I think it's fair to say that the captain of this pirate crew should be Imu. Once again, we know that Imu is no pirate, but for the sake of this video, since we want to create the strongest female pirate crew in history, we will just assume we are allowed to choose characters from all groups and not just pirates. This was only the first member, and by the end of the video, our crew will be comprised of 18 incredibly overpowered female pirates. Like the video, subscribe to the channel, and let's keep going. Okay, so having appointed a captain, we naturally have to give our crew a first mate, or else known as vice captain. Naturally, this vice captain will be Zoro. I mean, Zoro is known to be the best waifu in One Piece, right? So why not use him, I suppose? Nah, seriously, we've got three candidates for this point. The first is a character we already analyzed, Big Mom. During her days as a rocks pirate, Big Mom was indeed part of a crew without actually being the captain, which means we can use her for this position. But since we already spoke about her, we will now move on to the next candidate to see if we have any better candidate than her. The second candidate is Gloriosa. Now, for those who don't know, this old lady used to be a part of the legendary rocks pirates too. Being a former empress of the Kuja tribe, Gloriosa was undoubtedly a powerful Kuja in her prime. Another sign of Gloriosa's former power is that she's a surviving member of the legendary rocks pirates, a crew filled with dangerous pirates who killed each other constantly. In the anime, in spite of being elderly, Gloriosa has shown to be extremely agile and strong. And now for the third candidate, we once again have another former member of the rocks pirates, Shaki. As a former empress of Amazon Lily, Shaki is one of the strongest Kuja in history. She claims to have survived being chased by Garth, who was legendary for his strength as one of the strongest marines to ever live. Now, among the three candidates, I would have to go for Big Mom, who arguably held a major spot in One Piece, aka being a Yonko. But at the same time, the other two candidates did not. Having covered the first mate, let us now decide on a second mate as well. Well, obviously, we'll choose between the two previous ones we rejected, aka Shaki and Gloriosa. Both of them used to be members of the Rocks Pirates, but truth be told, Shaki does give a bit of a more badass aura compared to Gloriosa. Combined with the theory claiming that Shaki is Mihawk's mother, then I think it would be better to go with her for the spot of the second mate in our crew. Having covered the basics, let's start getting into the more technical points. We now have to choose a doctor for our crew. Here, we have three candidates. The first is Law. And no, I'm not joking on that one. I mean, remember, Law was actually turned into a woman during his fight with Blackbeard. So if we go with this form of Law, then I suppose it does kind of qualify for the purposes of our video. You see, Trafalgar Law has displayed immense levels of physical endurance. In addition, he was also capable of enduring a prolonged brutal beating from Virgo, which resulted in him becoming severely injured, all before defeating him in a single blow. And that single blow, it literally cut an entire island in half. During the raid on Onigashima, Law took multiple hits from the two emperors and still kept going. After awakening his devil fruits, along with the help of Kid, they managed to defeat Big Mom. But that's just the strength part. How about the medical expertise? I mean, the fact that Law earned the nickname Surgeon of Death was not random at all. In reality, it was due to his immense surgical skills in addition to his formidable combat abilities. He was able to simultaneously operate on both Luffy and Jinbei right after both of them barely escaped the murderous Akainu, who inflicted brutal, life-threatening injuries, which left them on the brink of death, and was successful in treating them. The spatial powers given to him by the Ope Ope no Mi allows Law to perform even the most complicated and difficult surgeries perfectly with great ease, as they allow him to cut a patient's body open and remove organs without damaging any tissues, leaving scars or causing the patient to bleed a single drop of blood while removing any disease-causing impurities, as well as poisonous substances and narcotic drugs from the patient's body. The second candidate we can consider is technically not a doctor, and depending on how you see it, might not even be a woman as well. Not sure about the second part, to be honest. But Ivankov continues changing his gender all the time. Ivankov has massive physical strength befitting his size, his extremely extremely fast with incredible agility, and generally among the strongest member of the Revolutionary Army. When it comes to medical skills, his or her devil fruit allows Ivankov to create a variety of special hormones that can alter the recipient's body in any way they desire, effectively allowing them to remodel a human from the inside. And obviously, this does have medical properties as well. The third candidate we have in mind is Kureha. Now, as far as medical knowledge, Kureha is surely the superior choice. But how about overall strength? Well, hear me out. In her prime, Kureha should definitely have been an important figure, although we don't know exactly in what crew she was. A very popular theory that I also believe, to be honest, claims that she used to be a member of the Rocks Pirates. Now, among the three candidates, the best choices are Law and Kureha. However, since I'm planning to use Law later on in the video, let's go ahead and take Kureha for this point. For the next point, although not all crews have this position, it kind of fits our crew. Alright, hear me out. Many times we have young companions in the ships of pirate crews, with Buggy and Shanks being the best examples, being part of the Roger Pirates. Because of that, we now have to choose a youngster to add to the team. The first candidate many people could think of is Sugar. That with her devil fruit power, the Hobby no Mi, she can transform any living creature she touches into a subservient living toy. When someone gets transformed into a toy, their existence is completely erased from the memory of anyone who ever knew them. However, there is an important problem with that many people miss. Sugar is not actually young, and as a matter of fact, she's older than even Luffy. In reality, Sugar is 22 years old. Because of that, we're not considering her for this role. The second candidate we have is Tama, which, let me tell you, her devil fruit ability is basically what allowed the Straw Hats to turn the tides in the Onigashima raid. But having said that, her devil fruit ability is not useful when put up against non-Zoan devil fruit users. Because of that, the actual youngster I will be taking in is none other than Bonnie. I mean, in recent manga chapters, Bonnie could even become Nika herself, so there's that as well. Combined with the fact that she is the youngest member of the worst generation, Bonnie's potential is actually enormous, and we still did not take into account that with a single touch, as long as her haki is more powerful than her opponents, she can turn anyone into either incredibly old versions of themselves or even infants, thus making them incapable of fighting. With the proper help from a strong crew like the one we're creating, Bonnie can literally become one of the strongest pirates in history. Moving on to the sixth position in our crew, let's add an archaeologist to the team. Now here, there are two obvious examples. The first is Nico Olivia, aka Nico Robin's mother, but as far as strength goes, we all know the other candidate is incredibly more powerful. Because of that, we'll be going with that candidate, Nico Robin. While not at the same superhuman level as Luffy, Zoro, Sanji, and Jinbei, Robin has exceptional physical prowess due to her spending her entire childhood to her young adult life constantly on the run from various enemies, such as the Marines and the world government. Not only that, during the 2-year time skip, Robin was taught Fishman karate fundamentals in the context of palm strikes by Koala of the Revolutionary Army. Since then, Robin has learned how to incorporate the effects of Fishman karate into her usual fighting style of sprouted limbs, allowing her to break structures with ease through precise palm strikes. To add the cherry on top, her devil fruit is actually one of the most overpowered ones if used to its maximum potential. This devil fruit allows her to sprout duplicates of any of her body parts from any surface within range. She can sprout her duplicate body parts from her own body, inanimate surfaces, and even from other people's bodies. She can even sprout duplicate body parts on top of other duplicate body parts. She maintains full control of her duplicated limbs and can perceive sights and sounds remotely through duplicated eyes and ears. Okay, for the next point, all crews need to eat something, right? Otherwise, if a crew member is as dumb as Luffy, then you might have them get poisoned on their own. Because of that, let us choose a cook or chef for our crew. For this position, we have one, or depending on how you see it, two candidates. The first candidate is Pudding. Strength-wise, Pudding appears nowhere near the level of most of her siblings. However, she seems to have enough strength in her arms to harm individuals whose bodies have been modified to withstand heavy damage. She also has extremely sharp eyesight, as she could tell it was Sanji who kicked her brother Oven aside, even when Sanji was moving so fast that no one else noticed. Pudding also ate the Memo no Mi, a paramecia-type devil fruit that allows her to manipulate memories. She can reach into a person's head and extract memories in the form of film strips. With this power, she can afford to reveal her true intentions and motives to her enemies without compromising the plan, as well as manipulate people into doing what she wants without them asking questions. The second candidate for this position is, I suppose, Boa Hancock. Now, truth be told, the only thing she ever learned how to cook is meat, and that's because she found out that Luffy likes it. So I'm not so sure she would be willing to cook for the rest of her crew, as after all, Luffy's not a part of it. So I suppose we'd have to go with Pudding for this position. Okay, now that our crew is well fed and it's got its doctor for recovery, let's add some muscle to the crew. We'll add 3 different fighters. Let's begin with the first fighter for our crew. The first candidate is, of course, Yamato. Yamato possesses immense physical strength resembling that of Kaido. Not only that, but Yamato was also seen to physically match Luffy's strength with relative ease, even when he increased his strength exponentially with Gear 2 and Gear 3. And yet, that was not all. For some time, she was able to hold back Kaido on her own until reinforcements arrived. She's extremely fast, possesses tremendous levels of durability and endurance, and has access to all 3 forms of haki, and even ate a pretty strong devil fruit too, the Ino no Mi model Okuchi no Makami, a mythical Zoan-type devil fruit that allows her to transform into a divine wolf, as well as a human divine wolf hybrid. The second candidate is Wanda. Now, even though in base form she's nothing special, in her Sulong form, things are completely different. In this form, Wanda's strength, speed, agility, electro, and fighting abilities are magnified. Using this form has a risk, as it can cause severe exhaustion if used for too long. However, she can revert back to her normal form by blocking her eyes from the moonlight. Something very similar occurs with our third candidate as well, Carrot. As a mink, Carrot is a natural-born fighter and can use electro. Having been a Kingsbird, she possesses a large amount of stamina, which allows her to be active at all hours of the day. Carrot is immensely quick and agile, having effortlessly dodged a slash from Roronoa's Zoro. While in Sulong form, Carrot can take out multiple members of the Big Mom Pirates in the blink of an eye. Among the two minks, Carrot is surely a better option. The fourth candidate is Boa Sandersonia. Ruling beside her sisters, Sandersonia has power over Amazon Lily and the rest of the Kuja women. Being a part of her sister's pirate crew, she's one of the elite Kuja warriors. She can also control her hair and shape them into snakes for increased attack strength. Something similar applies to the fifth candidate, Boa Marigold. However, considering the other candidates we have, so far, we'd have to reject these two. I think the first fighter position rightfully belongs to Yamato. Moving on to the second fighter position in our crew, the first candidate we have in mind is Perona. Now, the main reason she is considered is because of her devil fruit power. That is quite literally one of the most underrated ones in One Piece. The Horror no Mi is a paramecia-type devil fruit that allows her to create and control ghosts. The ghosts have the power to drain the morale, self-esteem, and will to live of anyone whom they pass through, described as hollowing out the victim's spirit. Perona can also create smaller ghosts that explode with enough force to damage stone walls, and larger ghosts that produce an even more powerful blast. If it weren't for Usopp's already negative personality, then Perona could actually wipe out the entire crew on her own at that point in the story. The second candidate is Charlotte Smoothie. As one of the three sweet commanders of the Big Mom Pirates, Smoothie's authority within the crew is second only to her mother. She possesses an extremely high level of physical strength befitting her size, being able to pick up with one hand, and with both hands squeeze out a normal-sized person using her ability with little effort. If that was not enough, Smoothie ate the Shipw no Mi, a paramecia-type devil fruit that allows her to drain liquid from both living and non-living things. She uses her power by twisting her target and wringing it out like a soaked cloth, though she can also drain liquid from a target by cutting it with her sword. The third candidate is Ulti. Being one of the Tobi Roppo, Ulti holds great authority among the Beast Pirates despite her young age, with only Kaido and the All-Stars ranking above her. She can thrust her head forward with incredible force and unleash blows so powerful they've been compared to the blast of a cannon, even when only in her human form. Ulti was able to overpower Luffy, who has tremendous strength of his own, in a head-butting clash, creating a violent shockwave and sending Luffy flying back, though the latter emerged with little to no injury. Ulti even managed to physically contend with Yamato, Kaido's child, who boasts immense brawn herself for some time, although Ulti was ultimately overpowered. Between the three candidates we mentioned so far, I think I'd be choosing Ulti for the second spot in our list. And now for the third fighter spot. The first candidate is Katarina Devon. You see, Katarina Devon is one of the most powerful female pirates to have ever lived, and when she was imprisoned in Impel Down, she was placed in level 6, where only the worst criminals in the world are locked up. Another testament to her power is the fact that when Blackbeard recruited the level 6 prisoners, he only chose the strongest ones that could survive when pitted against everyone else in a free-for-all battle. Thus, Katarina Devon is one of the strongest level 6 prisoners. Devon ate the Ino no Mi, Mado Kyubi no Kitsune, a mythical Zoan-type devil fruit that allows her to transform into a nine-tailed fox. With this power, she can transform into clones of people similar to the Mane no Mi. The second candidate we are considering is Bello Betty. Belly ate the Kobu no Mi, a paramecia-type devil fruit that allows her to encourage and rally people into fighting, increasing their resolve and physical strength in the process. She activates her power by speaking encouraging words to her targets, which, let's face it, that's a pretty overpowered ability to possess. And the third candidate is Black Maria. Similarly to Ulti, Black Maria is also one of the Tobi Roppo, which should obviously tell you just how strong she really is. In combination with her overall strength, she also consumed Kumo no Mi, Mado Razambigali Grayogeli, an ancient Zoan-type devil fruit that allows her to transform into a full prehistoric carnivorous spider, as well as into a spider-human hybrid at will. Now, among those three candidates, I think our best option would be Katarina Devon, and that's exactly why we're going with her. 10 spots down, 8 more to go. And the next position is Assassin. Here we have 3 candidates. The first is Viola. Viola is skilled in manipulating others, and as an assassin of the Treble Army held in high regards, is an accomplished fighter. Viola ate the Giro no Mi, a paramecia-type devil fruit that allows her to see through solid objects and over vast distances. It also allows her to see into people's minds and memories. The second candidate is Khalifa. You see, Khalifa has a high degree of superhuman strength. Alongside Kaku, she could produce a cutting shockwave powerful enough to cut stone walls while using Rankyaku. She could even match Sanji's kicking power, and her attack speed is fast enough to leave residual images after striking. And all of these even before the time skip. Like other CP9 agents, Khalifa has mastered all 6 techniques of the Rokushiki style, despite being the weakest agent of CP9's assassins. With a Doriki of 630, she's still considered one of CP9's strongest assets. Now, even though both of these candidates are definitely not weak, in reality, they don't even come close to the third candidate, Stussy. As a successful clone of a former member of the legendary and formidable Rocks Pirates, Stussy likely shares the same physical power and skills of the original Stussy. Being a former masked agent of CP0, the strongest intelligence agency among Cypherpol, her abilities are highly recognized by the world government. Stussy has the ability to generate bat-like wings from her back and can suck blood from people by biting into their skin. akin to a vampire. She can quickly incapacitate people whose blood she sucks by putting them to sleep. She can even incapacitate powerful assassins like Rob Lucci and Kaku, the latter in his awakened form. Stussy also possesses considerable willpower, as she was able to withstand a Hoshoku Haki Blast from Emperor Big Mom. For the crew's assassin, we choose Stussy. And yet, the most important addition to our crew will be the next one, a scientist. I think we all know where I'm going with this. Well, obviously, we'll use one of Vegapunk's satellites. I mean, just imagine how much more powerful the crew will become with someone that possesses the knowledge of Vegapunk by their side, creating all sorts of crazy machines, weapons, gadgets, or even clones. This addition is literally insane. So, the 3 female satellites we can consider are Lilith, Atlas, and York. Since we don't want our scientists to betray us to the world government, we'll just choose one among the 2 of Lilith and Atlas. Between the 2, I think Atlas, befitting her large size, is a bit stronger. She possesses significant strength, as she was able to punch Luffy and send him slamming into a wall with great force, leaving him with bruises. She also possesses great durability, barely being affected by a normal punch from Luffy. 12 positions down, 6 more to go. And the next in line is the position of the Navigator. Here we've got 2 main candidates, the first of which is Perona. You see, Perona is actually a pretty capable navigator, demonstrated when she brought Zoro to Subodi Archipelago all the way from Kurigana Island. She later traveled to Thriller Bark and returned back to Kurigana Island all by herself. After learning Moria was alive, she traveled all the way to Hachinosu from Kurigana Island, going from paradise to the New World. So yeah, she definitely knows how to navigate her way. As far as strengths, since we already analyzed that a few moments ago, we're just gonna move on to our next candidate, Nami. Not many things to say about Nami, as her skills are well known to all One Piece fans. So among the 2, I would probably have to go for Nami. Up next, let's add a musician to our crew. The first candidate is Black Maria that we already analyzed. The second candidate, and the one I'll actually choose, is Uta. Uta is a world-famous singer and the adopted daughter of the Emperor Red-Haired Shanks, who was also a musician in his crew until he left her while she was still a child. In terms of physical prowess, Uta has not displayed any superior abilities outside of being a talented and dexterous dancer, fully relying on her devil fruit ability to compensate. Uta ate the Uta Uta no Mi, a paramecia-type devil fruit that allows her to transport people's consciousnesses to a virtual space called Uta World by singing. Within Uta World, she is essentially all-powerful and able to do whatever she wants until she runs out of energy. And for anyone that watched the movie Red, well, all I'll say is that if you did, then you definitely know how broken this ability really is. 14 traits down, 4 more to go. And the next stop is a swordsman. Now, hear me out. There are quite a few candidates. We've got Smoothie, Female Law, and Wanda that we already analyzed, and we also have Amande, Mundi, Kiku, and Tashigi. From the mentioned candidates, however, I think it's obvious that the best choice would be Trafalgar Law, and thus, that's exactly what we choose. On to the final 3, we now have to choose a sniper. The first candidate is Hibari. Hibari is a highly proficient sniper, wielding a rifle for combat. She holds incredible long-range support abilities, being capable of disarming a whole crowd of gunmen while undetected. She uses Vegapunk's gunpowder-modifying GP flower technology, flower bullets, allowing her to neutralize enemy guns by jamming their barrels with blossoming flowers. The second character is Flampe. Now, although not the traditional sniper per se, all I'll say is that among the chaos and the insanely fast fight between Luffy and Katakuri, she managed to land a hit on Luffy that, by the way, also has an insanely high observation haki. The third candidate we have is Ginny. Now, this is not confirmed, but from the little information we have on her, we did see her holding a weapon, so we're not so sure if she was a fighter at all. Among the 3, I'd probably have to go for Hibari. Okay, we did recruit quite a few overpowered characters, but at this point, we should probably give them a ship as well, right? I mean, after all, they are a pirate crew. So, for the candidates here, we will only consider pirate ships of crews led by female candidates. The 2 candidates are Queen Mama Chanter of Big Mom and Perfume Yuta of Boa Hancock. My choice? Queen Mama Chanter. I mean, it's an enormous ship, many times the size of the Thousand Sunny. It is also, of course, equipped with several cannons on its sides, so I think this ship will be perfect for our crew. And finally, having just acquired a ship, we need to add a shipwright as well. Truth be told, we don't really have many options. Or, yeah, let's be honest, we don't even have a single option to choose from, other than the one female shipwright that exists in One Piece. This is Gina, the shipwright of the Foxy Pirates. Although not many things are known about her, what is known is that she is presumably good at building and fixing things. Click on this video next, where I put the strongest characters from each anime against each other to figure out which is the strongest one. Go on, check it out!